Imagine your 82-year-old mother sitting alone in a hallway. No one has come to help her. She's confused, cold, and scared. This isn't a nightmare. It's daily life for thousands of seniors in nursing homes across America. Now, let me ask you, would you place someone you love in a business where profit comes before care? That's exactly what's happening. Over 70% of nursing homes in the U.S. are for-profit, and nearly half are critically understaffed. Corners are being cut, meals are downgraded, staff are overworked, and families, often with the best intentions, have no idea what's really going on behind those doors. In this video, I'm going to reveal the uncomfortable truth about elder care in America. You'll hear real stories, discover hidden dangers, and most importantly, learn about safer, more affordable alternatives that protect your loved ones. This is a video every family needs to see before it's too late. Let's talk about something most people don't know or don't want to believe. Nursing homes, the very places we trust with the care of our parents and grandparents, are often businesses first. Their mission? Not necessarily compassion or comfort, but profit. In fact, over 70% of nursing homes in the United States are privately owned, for-profit institutions. This means they're run like corporations, complete with budgets, shareholders, and bottom lines. And when the goal is to generate revenue, the pressure to cut corners becomes part of the business model. Let's break that down. For-profit nursing homes focus on financial performance. They reduce costs wherever possible, often by limiting staff, scaling back on food quality, minimizing medical supplies, and outsourcing services. Nonprofit facilities, on the other hand, tend to reinvest earnings into better care, improved living conditions, and staff development. It's not a perfect system either way, but the priorities are very different. This shift didn't happen overnight. Decades ago, elder care in America was more community-based. Small, often faith-driven homes that cared for aging neighbors like family. But as the population aged and demand grew, the industry evolved. By the 1980s and 90s, large corporations saw opportunity. Nursing homes were now a lucrative sector. Investment firms, private equity groups, and national chains entered the picture. With them came a new way of thinking. Treat each bed as a revenue unit. Every occupied room meant monthly billing, often ranging from $6,000 to over $10,000 per resident. But here's the catch. Just because you're paying thousands each month doesn't mean that money is going into care. A 2021 study by the New York Times revealed that in many for-profit homes, less than 10% of the total monthly cost goes toward direct patient care. Think about that. You might be paying $8,000 a month, but only $300 is spent on your parents' personal well-being. The rest? Administration, real estate, executive salaries, and yes, shareholder returns. And the effects are showing. Understaffing is one of the biggest issues. Many nursing homes operate with dangerously low caregiver-to-resident ratios. One former nurse shared this anonymously. There were 3 diapers left on Friday night, and we had 8 incontinent patients. We were told to make it work. This isn't a rare story. Staff are stretched thin, burned out, and underpaid, often juggling responsibilities that no one person should have to handle alone. When there's not enough staff, care becomes reactive, not proactive. That means residents wait longer for help, miss medication, or are left in bed for hours at a time. Cutbacks don't just impact staffing. Food quality declines. Activities disappear. Medical oversight is minimal. Everything that makes a place feel human and dignified is stripped down to the bare minimum, because extra costs money. And when profit is the goal, extra quickly becomes unnecessary. Even facility conditions suffer. A 2020 report by the Office of Inspector General found that nearly one-third of U.S. nursing homes were cited for infection control violations, many of them repeatedly. Why? Because proper sanitation protocols require training, time, and resources, and all of those cut into profit margins. But here's what's truly heartbreaking. Many families don't see this side. They walk in for a tour, see clean lobbies and smiling staff, and assume their loved one will be safe. They trust the sales pitch. They trust the system. They don't see the overnight shift, the missed calls for help, or the medication errors. They don't hear the quiet cries from residents who feel forgotten. This is not to say every for-profit nursing home is abusive or negligent. Some are well-managed and truly care for their residents. But the structure of the industry, its financial DNA, is built around maximizing returns, not maximizing comfort. And that's a fundamental conflict of interest when human lives are involved. If you've ever wondered why nursing homes feel cold, under-resourced, or rushed, it's not an accident. It's a business model, one designed to do just enough for just long enough, while keeping costs low and rooms full. And unless families ask the right questions and demand better transparency, nothing will change. In the next part of this video, we'll look at what that model means in real life. Because behind the numbers and business talk are real people, our parents, our grandparents, living with the consequences of a system that was never designed to put them first. Behind the polished lobby and brochure-worthy photos, a very different reality exists for many seniors in nursing homes. It's a world hidden from daily visitors, one that unfolds quietly, tragically, and too often, invisibly. These are not just isolated incidents. These are systemic failures, and the consequences are heartbreaking. Let me tell you about Mr. Henderson. He was 87 years old, a retired school teacher, and a proud father of 3. One night, he got out of bed to use the restroom. The floor was slippery, and no one was around to help. He fell. Hard. Hours passed before anyone noticed. By the time staff found him, he had fractured his hip and was dehydrated. The delay in treatment led to complications, and within a month, he passed away. His daughter later said, "We thought he'd be safe there. We thought someone would check on him at night." Now, imagine Mrs. Alvarez. She had been in her nursing home for nearly 2 years. One day, her wedding ring disappeared. She was heartbroken. That ring had been on her finger for over 50 years. Her son asked the staff to investigate, but nothing happened. They told him, "These things happen. No cameras, no accountability, just quiet indifference." He told a friend later, "It wasn't about the ring, it was about how little they seemed to care." Then there's Linda. Her mother had Alzheimer's and was placed in a facility that promised 24-hour care. At first, everything seemed fine, but as months passed, her mom became more confused, withdrawn, and often sedated. It wasn't until Linda visited unannounced one afternoon that she realized her mother had been kept on heavy sedatives, not for medical reasons, but because the staff were overwhelmed. "I wish I had looked closer," she said, choking up. "I thought I was helping her. I didn't know she was being drugged to stay quiet." These aren't rare exceptions. These are warning signs of deeper, widespread issues in the system. One of the most pressing problems is severe understaffing. Many nursing homes operate with the bare minimum number of caregivers, especially during nights and weekends. That means one nurse aide may be responsible for 10, sometimes 15 residents. There simply aren't enough hands to help everyone eat, move, bathe, or even be checked on regularly. The result? Residents wait. They wait for food. They wait for help. And sometimes they wait in pain or fear without anyone noticing. Nutrition is another major concern. Meals are often bland, processed, and ye lack the nutrients seniors need to maintain strength and mental clarity. Some residents report being served the same meal multiple times a week: overcooked pasta, undercooked vegetables, and powdered eggs. When budgets are tight, food quality is one of the first things to be sacrificed. And poor nutrition doesn't just impact comfort. It leads to rapid physical decline, weakened immunity, and worsened chronic conditions. Perhaps most alarming is the misuse of antipsychotic medications. These drugs are sometimes administered not to treat a diagnosed condition, but to make residents easier to manage. It's called chemical restraint. In overwhelmed facilities, sedating a resident can seem like a shortcut, a way to prevent wandering, agitation, or outbursts. But this comes at a cost. Overmedication can lead to falls, strokes, and even premature death. And worse, it robs seniors of their ability to engage with the world, turning once vibrant individuals into silent shells. Beyond the physical risks, the psychological toll is devastating. Many seniors in these homes feel abandoned. They struggle with feelings of isolation, confusion, and depression. They watch roommates come and go. They lose track of days, and they long for family who may only visit on weekends. This emotional weight speeds up cognitive decline. Seniors who once told stories and smiled at visitors become withdrawn, disengaged, and disconnected from reality. Families are often unaware. They visit during designated hours, see their loved one cleaned up and quiet, and assume things are okay. But what happens during the other 23 hours of the day? What stories don't get told? This is the hidden world of elder care that no brochure will show you. It's the reality behind locked doors, behind staff smiles worn thin by exhaustion. And unless we open our eyes and demand better, more families will have stories like Mr. Henderson, Mrs. Alvarez, and Linda. Stories filled with regret. So if nursing homes aren't the answer for everyone, what is? Let's start with one of the most personal and flexible options available: home care combined with community-based support. For many families, this is the most natural choice: keeping a loved one in a familiar environment, surrounded by the comfort of their own belongings, photos, and memories. Staying at home can help seniors maintain a sense of independence and dignity that's often lost in institutional settings. Thanks to advances in elder care and expanded services, staying at home no longer means being alone. Programs like Meals on Wheels can ensure daily hot meals are delivered right to the doorstep. Visiting nurses or home health aides can come by for scheduled check-ins, medication management, or even full-time assistance, depending on the need. Some communities offer respite care, allowing family caregivers to take breaks while a professional steps in temporarily. There are even adult day programs where seniors can socialize and engage in activities during the day, then return home at night. One of the biggest advantages of home care is emotional stability. Seniors are often less anxious, less confused, and more active when they're in an environment they know. They're more likely to eat well, sleep better, and feel safer. Family can be more involved, not just as visitors, but as part of daily life. And that connection, those daily conversations and shared routines, can make a world of difference in quality of life. Of course, home care isn't without challenges. It requires thoughtful coordination, scheduling caregivers, managing medications, and making sure the home is safe and accessible. Some families may need to install grab bars, modify bathrooms, or set up mobility aids. It can also be emotionally demanding for loved ones taking on the caregiver role. But here's the good news. You don't have to do it alone. Many local and state programs offer financial help, caregiver training, and case management services to guide families through the process. Home care isn't a one-size-fits-all solution, but for many seniors, it's a powerful alternative, one that offers comfort, familiarity, and respect. And perhaps most importantly, it puts care back into the hands of the people who know and love them most. In the next section, we'll look at another option that blends affordability with connection. Shared senior living. Another creative and increasingly popular option is shared senior living, also known as co-living. Think of it like a senior-friendly version of a roommate arrangement, but with comfort, companionship, and care in mind. Instead of placing your loved one in a large, impersonal facility, imagine them living in a cozy home with 2 or 3 other seniors, sharing meals, laughter, and daily routines together. It's a lifestyle that brings back something nursing homes often take away: human connection. Here's how it works. A group of older adults, sometimes friends, sometimes carefully matched by compatibility, live together in a house or apartment. They share the cost of rent, utilities, and even caregiving services. One home might hire a part-time caregiver to help everyone with meals or medication. Another might rotate light responsibilities among residents if they're still fairly independent. It's flexible, and it's often much more affordable than traditional nursing home care. One of the biggest benefits of this setup is that it combats loneliness, one of the most silent and harmful conditions affecting seniors today. Instead of spending hours alone, your loved one can chat over breakfast, play cards in the afternoon, or watch a movie in the evening, all with others who understand what they're going through. In many cases, seniors report feeling less depressed, more engaged, and more active in co-living settings than they did in nursing homes. There's also something empowering about shared decision-making. Co-living isn't about rules from corporate management. It's about creating a small community where residents have a voice. They decide what to eat, what the daily routine looks like, and how to support one another. That sense of autonomy can be incredibly healing. Of course, co-living requires thoughtful planning. Personalities need to match. Roles and responsibilities should be clear. And depending on the setup, you may still need to coordinate part-time caregivers or safety modifications. But compared to the cost of institutional care, shared living is often more budget-friendly and far more human. In short, shared senior living blends affordability, dignity, and friendship. It's not just about saving money. It's about creating a life worth living in the later years. For many seniors, this kind of setting feels more like home than any facility ever could. Next, we'll explore one more powerful alternative: how families can care for their loved ones at home, with real support from Medicaid and community programs. The third, and often most meaningful, alternative is having family care for their loved one at home, with the support of financial assistance programs like Medicaid and help from local nonprofit organizations. While the idea of bringing a parent home might feel overwhelming at first, many families find it to be the most fulfilling decision they ever made. Take the story of James, a 45-year-old son who brought his father home after a difficult experience in a nursing facility. Dad stopped eating in the home. He was quiet, distant, James recalls. Once we brought him back, something changed. He started smiling again. His appetite returned. Even his heart condition stabilized. With help from Medicaid's Home and Community-Based Services (HCBS) waiver, James was able to pay for part-time caregiving and medical equipment, making the transition manageable and even joyful. Many states offer Medicaid programs that allow for in-home caregiving, even paying a family member as the caregiver in certain situations. That means you could receive financial support to stay home with your loved one, without having to sacrifice your own income or career entirely. Nonprofit organizations and area agencies on aging also provide resources like caregiver training, home safety assessments, respite care, and transportation services. The help is out there. You just need to know where to look, and that's exactly what this video aims to show you. There are real advantages to family-based care. You have full control over the environment, from the food your loved one eats to the people who come through the door. You know who's caring for them. You can spot problems early, respond quickly, and maintain emotional closeness that simply doesn't exist in institutional settings. Seniors cared for by family often report feeling more secure, more loved, and more connected to daily life. Of course, this path comes with challenges. It requires time, energy, and planning. Some families may need to make home modifications, installing ramps, grab bars, or safety monitors. Burnout is a risk, especially without help. That's why building a support system is so important: financial, emotional, and professional. If you're watching this as part of a visual presentation, we'd show you a comparison table: cost versus control, care quality versus stress levels, isolation versus connection. But even without graphics, one truth stands out. Family care, when supported properly, is not only possible, it can be powerful. Up next, we'll tie everything together and help you decide which path feels right for your family. So, what have we really learned here? First, care is personal. It's not a number on a spreadsheet or a bed in a hallway. It's your mother's morning routine. It's your father's favorite chair by the window. It's the quiet look in their eyes when they feel safe, or when they don't. Real care is rooted in human connection, familiarity, and love. That kind of care can't be outsourced, rushed, or mass-produced. It takes time, patience, and trust. Second, profit is not personal. For-profit nursing homes exist to generate income. That's the structure. It doesn't mean every staff member is uncaring or that every facility is bad, but it does mean that the system itself is built to prioritize margins over moments. When you combine low wages, high turnover, and cost-cutting measures, you end up with a model where efficiency often trumps empathy. And when something goes wrong, it's usually not the executives who feel it, it's the residents. Third, and maybe most important, research before regret. Too many families make decisions in crisis mode. A sudden fall, a hospital discharge, a rushed choice. And that's when marketing brochures and clean lobbies can be dangerously misleading. Take the time to dig deeper. Ask questions. Visit at unexpected times. Read reviews from other families. Talk to staff off the record if you can. And above all, explore the alternatives before you think there aren't any. Because there are. If you're watching this video right now, it probably means you care deeply about someone. Maybe it's your mom. Maybe it's your dad. Your spouse. Or even yourself. And if you haven't asked this yet, now's the time. What would you want if it were you in that bed 10 years from now? Would you want strangers rushing past you, understaffed and overstressed? Or would you want familiar voices, shared meals, dignity, and choice? Here's what you can do, starting today. First, have the conversation. It doesn't need to be long or dramatic. Just ask, are you happy where you are? Do you feel safe? Is there something you wish could be different? You might be surprised by the answer. Many older adults hesitate to speak up because they don't want to burden their family. But when you open that door with love and curiosity, it tells them, you matter. Your comfort matters. We're in this together. Second, Research at least 2 alternative options, even if you think nursing homes are the only route. Maybe it's home care with part-time support. Maybe it's shared living with other seniors. Maybe it's bringing a parent home with Medicaid's help. You don't have to decide everything today, but knowing your options makes you powerful. It means you're not just reacting, you're planning with purpose. Third, if you've already placed a loved one in a facility, don't feel guilty. This isn't about blame. It's about awareness and next steps. Ask better questions. Visit at different times of day. Get to know the aides and nurses. Watch closely. Your presence can make all the difference. And if things don't feel right, trust your instincts, because no one knows your family better than you do. Now, if this video struck a nerve or opened your eyes, please don't let it end here. Send this to one person who's facing a tough decision right now. Maybe it's a sibling, a friend, a neighbor, or your adult child. Forwarding a link might seem small, but it could be the thing that saves a family from regret. It could spark a conversation that leads to real change. It could make someone feel seen, heard, and supported. And if you're still unsure what path is right for your family, here's something to remember. There's no perfect answer. But there are better answers. More informed, more compassionate, more balanced. You deserve those options, and so do your parents. Let's be honest, aging is hard, caregiving is hard, but pretending everything is okay when it's not? That's even harder. That's why this conversation matters. That's why we made this video, not to scare you, but to empower you. So, before we go, let's repeat those 3 truths one last time. Care is personal. Profit is not. Research before regret. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. And thank you for being the kind of person who shows up, because showing up is love in action. If you found this helpful, please consider subscribing for more truth-backed advice for families, seniors, and caregivers. We're building a space for real talk, real stories, and real support, and we'd love to have you with us. Before you say yes to any nursing home, there's one more thing you need: the right questions. Touring a facility can be overwhelming. Everything looks clean. The staff smiles. You're told your loved one will be well taken care of. But behind those surface impressions lies the truth, and asking the right questions can reveal it. Here are 5 essential questions every family should ask before making a decision. 1. What is your caregiver-to-patient ratio during nights? Day shifts may be better staffed, but nighttime is often when residents are most vulnerable and the least supervised. Don't settle for vague answers. Get numbers. 2. How many staff members quit last year? High turnover can be a red flag for burnout, poor management, or unsafe conditions. If people don't stay, ask why. 3. What does the daily meal plan look like? Food is care. A bland or processed menu may indicate cut corners. Ask to see a full week's meals and whether they accommodate dietary needs. 4. How do you handle medical emergencies? Get clarity. Who responds, how fast, and what's the protocol? Delays in emergency care can be life-threatening for seniors. 5. Can we visit any time without notice? If the answer is no, that's a warning sign. Transparency matters. You should be able to see your loved one whenever you choose. These 5 questions can open doors to deeper conversations and help you spot warning signs before it's too late. Don't be afraid to ask. You're not being difficult. You're being protective. Choosing a care facility isn't just a decision. It's a promise to someone you love. Make that promise count by being informed, prepared, and confident in your choice.